This week's theme on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast is 5 reasons to retire as early as you can. Today, I'm talking about why retiring as early as you can for the reasons of life satisfaction are important. Now, throughout our lives, our schedule and our reasons for working are often determined by others. My son started kindergarten this year. Well, he turned 6 right after starting kindergarten. So basically he doesn't know it yet, fortunately, but from the age of 6 up until, 60 for the next 5.5 decades, he'll get a few summers off here and there. Well, until he's, 18, 22, 20 something. But when you become a full-fledged working adult, you may be listening to this podcast on your way to work and you've gone to work for like the 7,000th time and you've been working for the last 30 years. So even if you always didn't work, maybe you were home with kids or if you had other reasons and you weren't working, our schedule, our daily lives, if it's not driven by work, it's driven by other demands on our time for better or for worse. One of the great joys of retirement is that those demands on our time and our schedule kind of just disappear. Now, they don't go away entirely, but they mostly go away, which is nice. Now, retirement is your time to create your own schedule, your own routine, not something created for you by work or family life demands. Kids are usually out of the house. You can wake up when you want. You can go to sleep when you want. Now, I wouldn't recommend sleeping until noon and staying up until 4 a.m., but you do you. Retirement is a time to immerse yourself in hobbies, family life, kids, grandkids. You have more time to travel, be with your spouse or your friends. I've talked about all these things already in the podcast this week, but I want to focus today on the general concept of life satisfaction. And I use that term intentionally because it's very similar to happiness or fulfillment, if you put it another way. But life satisfaction, I think, is what most of us are trying to pursue. We want to be satisfied. Happiness, there's a lot of ebbs and flows with happiness, but satisfaction is something that can come from more of a static state of being. And there was an analysis of 443 studies. So a big meta-analysis of tons of different studies across hundreds of thousands of people. And they've actually found that the happiest times in people's lives is when they reach 70 years old. Now, this surprised me a little bit, but if you dig into the details, it begins to make a little bit more sense. Now, at 70s, some people can have health problems, aches and pains. I know lots of these 70-year-olds who complain about their aches and pains. You're starting, that's being nice. You've already matured. And so the aging process is really taking effect by age 70 for most of you. I think, though, most people who are 70, they're retired. They're not dealing with the stressors of work or family life or kids at home anymore. They're usually pretty financially secure at that age too. And 70 is an interesting age, I think, for financial security because most people are retired. They've been retired for a few years, but it's usually before some of the late life stressors of health problems, a death. As you get older, into your 80s, then a lot of people, have died or are starting to die. You're going to more funerals. That can be very difficult. You're dealing with the death of a spouse. So later in retirement, happiness tends to decline again because for your health really fades, you become lonely. But 70 is that sweet spot where most of the people in your life are still alive. Most of you still have pretty decent health. That elusive work-life balance has also sorted itself out because you're not working any longer. You just have balance. And so many things then fall into place because you have more balance, more control, more satisfaction. So I think pursuing life satisfaction, even though that seems like sort of a generic goal, more time freedom that comes with that is a worthwhile reason to retire as early as you can. Is because just the stressors of life that come from work and being beholden to somebody else's schedule, a lot of that goes away. And that in itself leads to a lot more life satisfaction in general. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Michike, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips podcast.